What a weekend it was for the Prague Lions. Niels Bruinseels and Peter de Vos securing the first GCL title for the team since Rome 2019. It was a weekend to forget for the Hamburg Giants and for the Berlin Eagles, who both struggled in the sandy ring. But now we move from the sand of Saint-Tropez to the giant grass ring of Hamburg. There have been unique team decisions taken for the Stockholm Hearts and for Hamburg Giants. Is this a risk or calculated rotation? We'll find out next in round 6 of the Global Champions League. Let's head to Hamburg.
Hamburg, Germany's gateway to the world, where culture, science, and entertainment come together. And the world's best riders will give an exuberant show. Big jumps, amazing action, and thrilling outcomes. Longines Global Champions Tour at Derby Park, Klein-Flottbeck, from the 25th to the 29th of May.
From Saint-Tropez, we come to Hamburg. Welcome back to GCTV and welcome back to the Global Champions League. What a weekend it was for the Prague Lions. Can they somehow make it 2 for 2 as we head over to Germany this weekend? Or will it be a proud German team that will stand up victorious at the end of the weekend? Will the Hamburg Giants as the home team do it? Or will the Berlin Eagles, your championship leaders, go on to succeed come the end of the weekend? They do bring Ludger Beerbaum and Miller back. They do bring a powerhouse lineup to Hamburg. So, strong intent shown from the championship leaders. We will find out over the next coming days as to how things will shape up come the end of round 6 here in the GCL. But before we look at Hamburg, before we begin to unpack what will happen this weekend, let's remind you as to what has taken place in the GCL so far.
A new team for this 2022 season, Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M. Stockholm Hearts win in Doha, Hamburg Giants come second, and Madrid in motion make it onto the podium.
From Doha, sink to last place. What a bad day at the office. Berlin Eagles with Ludger Beerbaum and Christian Kuckuck. And Christian Kuckuck is 2 fences away from writing history in Miami Beach. And it's a win for Berlin Eagles. What a climax here in Miami Beach.
Hamburg Giants. There's a little bit of tension there. And Bless is home. Good run from Bardes. Here comes Feeling for the lead in Mexico City, and they do it. Hamburg Giants have won their first stage since Berlin 2019. Hamburg Giants are the winners. Fence that goes down for Maurice Tebbel. Good clear from Olivier Philippart. Olivier Robert sinks the ship. The last team to go for the win in Madrid and for the lead in the championship. Berlin Eagles, powered by Fundis Rijksport. Rubs it, but leaves it standing. No drama, no panic. Here comes Weissaupt for the win. And it is a win, not just the win in Madrid, but also the lead in the championship. It's the second win of the season for Berlin Eagles. And now you see, this is what could happen. Here come Prague Lions on the double clear from GCL round 1. And they lead at this point with 1 team still to go. Is it the Lions or Stockholm Hearts? Catch me not, and it falls. It's going to be Lions indeed. Prague Lions are the winners of the Global Champions League in Saint-Tropez.
What a season this is shaping up to be, and that's only looking back at the first 5 events of the year. There is still so much to come throughout the rest of the 2022 season, and the action continues next in Hamburg this weekend as we look forward to seeing round 1 of the Global Champions League coming up later on today. But after seeing all of those highlights, all of those victories, what impact do those moments have on the overall championship standings? Well, no real change in position, at least, for the Berlin Eagles, Hamburg Giants and the Stockholm Hearts following Saint-Tropez. But the Stockholm Hearts did take a massive chunk out of the difference between themselves and the Hamburg Giants. Your winners, the Prague Lions, understandably moving up. And the Shanghai Swans in recent weeks as well have putting in really strong performances, seeing them now climb to 6th on the overall championship standings. Disappointment for the London Knights, who struggled, as well as the home team, the Saint-Tropez Pirates, who now dropped down to 9th place. A strong performance again from Vogelsvaart United, your defending champions, up to 10th. New York Empire climb and Paris Panthers climb following their best result of the season thus far. Miami Celtics drop, while the Istanbul Sultans and the Scandinavian Vikings continue to hold on a 15th and 16th place. Here are some live visuals as to what is taking place currently in Hamburg. It seems to be a rather wet and chilly start to the day in Hamburg. I have no doubt that we will see a raincoat or two from a handful of the riders. Frederick de Backer actually joked during the Insider that Hamburg is often a very wet event, and maybe that might well be the case again this coming weekend. Or maybe it clears up and makes for a beautiful weekend of show jumping as far as the weather is concerned, because the action, the quality will be beautiful regardless. Maybe the riders might be hoping for just a little bit of sunshine. Speaking of Frederick de Backer, I believe that he is waiting for us at the Commercial Village down in Hamburg. Frederick, welcome to the show. Will this be a very German-coloured weekend in Hamburg?
Well, that could very well be the case, Mark. If you look at the lineup of those 32 riders over those 16 teams in Global Champions League Round 1, 8 of them have got that German nationality, so it is already a very German-coloured stage here in Hamburg in Klein-Feldberg. If you look at teams specifically, for example, on the night, an all-German lineup with Tobias Meyer and with Hans-Dieter Dreher, and of course also Berlin Eagles, where we have Ludger Beerbaum and Philipp Weishaupt on the roster for them in GCL Round 1, just as the sun comes out here in Hamburg.
You see, there is a little bit of sun in Hamburg, and I like that. Frederick de Backer will appreciate it, as will the riders. Now, Frederick, Berlin Eagles, you mentioned already Ludger Beerbaum. Of course, he makes a almost heroic return back to the GCL with Miele. Very strong lineup for the Eagles. Are you expecting them to stretch their lead at the top of the championship this weekend?
Well, stretching the lead is always something that you have to wait for. It always depends on how your rivals do. In this case, that would be Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, and Hamburg Giants. But if you look at the results of Berlin Eagles here in Hamburg over the past, that's looking very well for them. The statistics are very good. They finished 4th here last year in 2021, finished 4th here in 2019 as well. And especially that pairing between Ludger Beerbaum and Philipp Weishaupt for some reason seems to turn out well. They can really pick and choose their riders and their horses for this venue here in Hamburg. And whenever they were paired together, Beerbaum and Weishaupt, they have been producing double clears in GCL Round 1. So also that is looking very good. But as you know, Mark, in show jumping, results of the past are no guarantee for the future. But the statistics prove that that would be the fitting lineup, at least for GCL Round 1.
So how well will they do come the end of the weekend? Or will perhaps we see some changes taking place inside that top 3? Now, Frederick, speaking of lineups, we'll talk about this more, of course, as the show unfolds. But some rather interesting, unique calls made by the Stockholm Hearts in particular, by Hamburg Giants as well. Is this a major risk for both of these two teams?
Well, this is going to be the stage, Mark, where the depth of the teams is going to be tested for Stockholm Hearts, powered by H&M, and for Hamburg Giants. Let's start with the Giants first. First appearance this season of Suus Kuijten on the team. Linda Heed made her debut last week in Saint-Tropez, jumping for 8 and for clear in the second round on De Curio. That's the same horse that she'll be riding in GCL Round 1 here this afternoon, this morning actually. Suus Kuijten, it's a new appearance, or it's a first appearance of the season for her with King Kong Davi Fauna. This will really be the moment where that team with that very strong riders talking about Simon de Lestre, talking about Jurveling, talking about Barbles. Now we'll get to see how deep the strength is of that team in terms of riders and of horses, with those what would traditionally be called their star riders not being present in GCL round 1. So that is Hamburg Giants maybe a little bit exposed. And then the question is the same with Stockholm Heights. Actually, think back about Miami and Mexico, where they struggled when Peter Fredriksson and Malin Bayer-Johnson weren't there. Now, Lily Atwood has told us in Team Talk that with Corleone van Vlierbeek here, she has got her best horse here. So she's quite confident that now she is at her strongest. Look at the results of Olivier Philippaert with Le Blue Diamond van der Ruiterhof. It's a horse that has been doing well in GCL on big arenas, in Valkenswaard, in Doha in 2021. Jumped for clear, jumped for 4, so quite consistent. Good results, not so much exposure just yet. So it does feel good, but we'll know much more after this first round of GCL. But it's clear that Berlin Eagles come with a very strong team, and that the second and third ranked team of the championship are a little bit weaker here in Hamburg.
Could they be exposed come the end of the weekend? We'll have to wait and see. Frederik de Backer, thank you very much. Coming to us from the commercial village in Hamburg. We're going to send him into the arena, try to grab some riders and tell us about the course a little bit later on. For now, though, speaking of rather interesting lineups, you take a look at Paris Panthers as well this weekend, who have shown some bravery, made some rotation and decided to bring in some new faces as well. One of those new faces, Yoli Mitilineo, will get a chance to finally jump in the GCL this weekend. We were able to catch up with her, and she told us about that debut back in Madrid, and also gives us some idea as to how she's feeling ahead of the weekend.
I'm unbelievably proud of both my horses, how they coped with the whole event. You know, it's a step up for all of us again, and to come away from a show like that, having only clear rounds and a few placings even, was a great feeling. I mean, coming into this week now, it gives me a lot of confidence. Like any show, you can be up one week and down the next, but my plan is to come here and give it my best go again, and hopefully come away with the same feeling, if not a better one.
Because everybody knows you with Levis de Muse, and then you come out with L'Artiste de Toxandria. Insiders know that horse really well, but of course you're famous, world famous even at this point, with Levis. And then that your, can I say, second-ranked horse really steps up to that level and produces clear rounds.
Yeah, so he's truly stepped up. Honestly, he's a horse that whenever I've needed him, he's always been there. And I'd say he's climbing his way up there with Levis. You know, I wouldn't even call him second at this point anymore. But yeah, bringing him there, I think he really showed everybody the horse he can be. When I bought him, we had a few inconsistencies, but I always knew that the jump was there and the power was there. So to come away from a show like that with, in theory, my second horse, it's a great feeling, and he proves everyone he can do. I think his first major result was probably in Geneva, where most people noticed him in the qualifier there, and then they saw him now, and I'm really happy for him that he's coming through like that.
It wasn't going very well with Paris Panthers. Why isn't Yoli riding on the team? Did you think the same? Why am I not competing on the team?
Well, having such experienced riders as a part of our team, like I would never think of myself to be more qualified, let's say, but I went there as my first GCT I had already chatted with Rob beforehand and planned that I was going to go there, kind of get the experience under my belt, get my feet wet, watch a bit, and just experience the whole team vibe before actually putting me under that sort of pressure. Like being from a nation where I haven't done very many Nations Cups, especially at that level. It's a different feeling going in and riding with somebody, you know. So I think it was very, very clever of Rob to put me in that position. Even after the first day where I jumped clear, he still stuck to his plan of, no, I'm going to keep her as an individual and let her get that experience and come away from it stronger for next time. And that really worked from that show. Hopefully I can carry it through this one and prove him right. I'm going to give it a go, but I think that was the best plan.
A lot of praise for Rob Hoekstra from Yoli Mtilineo, who's currently on pitch here. She has finally been given an opportunity to shine in the GCL and makes it very clear to us in that Team Talk episode that she's been biding her time. She has been learning. She has been using the opportunity to learn from her teammates around her. And finally now Rob Hoekstra has decided the time is right. She will be out alongside Harry Smolders today for the Paris Panthers. And I remind you that the Paris Panthers, one of our pre-season favorite teams, find themselves in 13th position on the overall championship standings. They did perform well in Saint-Tropez, but this is still not the performance that we would have been expecting at the start of the 2022 season. So can this exciting lineup of Yoli Mtilineo and Harry Smolders finally do the job in Hamburg? We'll have to wait and see. I believe Frederik de Backer has now made his way from the commercial village back into the actual ring. Frederik de Backer, thank you for joining us once again. Let's maybe jump straight into Paris Panthers. I know you've been full of praise for Yoli Mtilineo, finally given the chance from Rob Hoekstra now. Are we expecting her to slot in and perform? Is this the weekend for Paris Panthers?
Slot in for sure. She's on the roster. She's there with Harry Smolders perform. The stats are there. Produced nothing but clears when she was out in Madrid. Now back on a beautiful grass ring. Now in that team talk that we had yesterday, Yoli said, on the big grassing in Madrid, I was a little bit worried about the length of his stride. He would run away from me. He didn't do that in Madrid. This is a different arena, Mark. It's also on grass. It's also vast and big, but it's with a massive slope. That slope could come into play on l'Artiste de Toc Sandra, who hasn't got all that experience just yet, not like Livius de Muse. So is it their weekend to perform? You'd think so. By the way, extra sugar and spice, salt and spice to the recipe. The fact that Derek Kenny is actually competing in Rome and might fly back to come out for GCL round 2. So that team, just like last year actually, when Harry Smolders also had to make the same move going up and down and then in the end win the Grand Prix, it's the same again this year here in Hamburg, where now Derek Kenny might fly in for round 2, but for round 1 it is indeed Yoli Mtilineo and Harry Smolders, and you would think that this is a ring where they can really step up and perform.
Frederik, during the Insider, you told us how and why Hamburg is one of your favorite arenas on the calendar. And I see you inside that arena now. You're talking about the size of the ring and the slope that you've been teaching us how it affects the riders. Take us through what is happening in that ring. How do you expect the ring to play today?
Well, it starts with the ground, Mark, and I have to say we were very cautious and worried about the ground. Last year wasn't the perfect weekend, but now the ground is much better. You see there is much more leaf on the grass to get it a little bit technical. It's nice and dry. It bounces really well. It looks very solid, so that's a good thing. And the slope is very interesting. We're actually standing in a very interesting line. If the cameraman turns, and I'll talk to you about the approach actually from 5 to 6. There's an inside or outside approach to 6. The inside approach saves a lot of time and ground, but you jump out of the line, which leads you to a rollback to fence 7. So if you come inside, you jump to the left. If you go outside, you jump to the right. And then the slope comes into play. There's 6 strides from the GC playoffs vertical and then all the way down to fence 8A, and that is a double combination right here on 6 strides. Now the question is, how do you come out of that line, out of that rollback? If you come out with a normal distance, the 6 strides in here will be normal. If you come flying over the vertical, the 6 strides will be short. If you get a very still and deep stride after the vertical, this will be long. It all depends on how your horse will handle with that balance. But it's mainly about the combination. And this is you don't see that very often. 2-stride combination, 8A, 8B, triple bar in. So you get quite a launch in and then 2 strides. How does the horse, again, in the landing, how many strides do you need to find your balance? If you need more than 2, well, you won't get balance to the upright and take the upright down. So this is actually a very interesting part of this course. From 6, the rollback to 7, and then down to 8A and 8B.
All right, Frank Rothenberger pulling out some tricks, as we can see, ahead of the start of GCL round 2. Frederik, I remember I was talking to him on the Insider last year, and he seemed to be a really lively character. Are you expecting him to pull out all the tricks from what you've seen thus far?
I think it'll be a little bit more conservative than last year. We only had one claim in the Grand Prix, if you remember. I think now with the ground being better, again, he has a little bit more room, a little bit more space. It's a little bit easier for him to build. It's quite fair. I would say that this part that we just discussed, inside or outside to 6, 7, and then 8, is something very, very technical. To be honest, also 9 comes up really quick, the oxy behind, but it's not overly big. Let's ask one of the Shanghai Swans. Let's ask Max Kuhner. Max, sorry, is this the first time or the second time that you walk this course?
First time.
First time. So we're at fence 8A. How do you find it so far?
I think it's a nice class. A little bit short distances in between, what I find so far, which usually occurs in more faults. the more open, the wider it is, the easier the horses jump, especially on a big place like that. So that's an easy technical tool what course designer can use to get an easy fault. It's a simple fence 4, but it's in the backwards distance, so some of the horses might be a bit more closer, and that can happen to a fault.
I saw a few riders come out of the double, fence 5 to 6, and look at the Prestige vertical and trying to make up their mind whether to go inside or outside.
Yeah. I think it's not such a big difference. Okay, of course, fence 6 is not so nice to jump when you come there with the angle, but after the jump you go a little bit more on the left side, so if you leave here, maybe 1-2 strides, you will have them more in the corner. And when you go this way, you can turn a little bit closer. This is again a backward distance, also a little bit downhill. So maybe I go around, I turn close to the brake fence so that I don't need to get him too much back here in between these two fences. This is not a difficult fence. No problem to get close, but again the horses jump in front and then maybe it will occur to some more problems or faults at B.
I'm very happy that you made the same analysis that I made. Best of luck, Shanghai Swans. Max Kuhner, let you walk. They are late to go. Have got a very lucky draw mark, actually, the Shanghai Swans, with Christian Aalman and with Max Kuhner. Aalman on the Great Dominator, Max Kuhner on EIC Corriere d'Ille, the horse that jumped so very well out in Monaco last year. But he, for the first part of the course, makes the same analysis, saying that it's somewhat of a backward course, that you have to. There's a lot of short strides on a big arena. That's interesting to have that angle from Max Kuhner. We'll see how that would play out for him, whether he takes the inside or the outside turn to 6. And for now, it sounds like he will take the outside turn to take the longer route.
The fact that you and Max Kuhner analyze a course in the same way should be the greatest birthday and Christmas present you will ever receive in the same year, Frederik de Backer. It says that you are right on top with one of the best riders in the world. Before we let you go, Frederik, we've heard a lot about the ring. I remember Marlon Bayd-Johnson a couple of weeks ago talking to us about what kind of courses suited her and H&M Indiana. Of course, there's no H&M Indiana. There's no Marlon Bayd-Johnson this weekend. In fact, Lily Atwood and Olivia Philipparts. But I wonder, does this giant ring suit who better? In your start list, which of these teams do you feel will take to the best in this giant Hamburg ring?
It would be too easy to say experienced horses. It would be too easy to say powerful horses. I'll just ask Fernando Martinez Sommer. Mark Lewis in the studio just asked which is the fitting horse for this course and for this arena. What kind of horse would suit this best?
Well, I think you need a brave horse. Actually, it's a long way, so a horse that has a good canter, good mind suits this arena, because it's a little bit intimidating, I think.
What I remember from Mexico, from your home stage at the Campo Marte, is that all fences had very big wings. We see the same in Madrid. When I walk around Hamburg here, these are actually, in terms of wings like these as well, these are the wings that you would find on small sand rings. They're not bulky wings. They don't really back the horses off.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more light material. You know, in Mexico, it's a little bit, horses spook a little bit of everything, so they kind of hold back themselves. Here you have a big canter, it's a really big ring, and the material is light, so I think you need to be careful with that canter and just try to settle a little bit the horses down during the course.
So that doesn't mean that because this is a big ring you need a big stride. That's actually not the case. A big stride could even get you in trouble, especially on this course.
Well, I depends. I think it's everything is a bit far away, so it's good to cover some ground between the turns. And then, yeah, actually in the lines is not a big problem. All the lines are a little bit steady, I think. So yeah, if you have a horse with not so big stride and you go tight in the turns, I think it will suit perfectly.
All right, super. We let you walk the course. Rome Gladiators, Fernando Martinez Sommer walks away from us as we are going to close here. But basically what he says, it's not really a one type of horse. They need to be brave. They can't be intimidated by the space. You need to have a lot of control so that they don't run away from you. And then a little bit of scope, a little bit of carefulness, and a flavor of mentality to make the perfect recipe.
Always good to hear from FMS. Right, Frederick de Backer, thank you very much. Great to hear from you as well. And as he points out, it needs a brave horse with a good canter. It is not just about size. It is not just about stride as to who then will go on to dominate this Hamburg ring. Well, according to FMS, bravery and a good canter might well be some of the big tricks. Now, good to see Jack Whittaker coming back for Madrid in Motion. They will be first out the gate alongside Mark Macaulay, because a couple of weeks ago, Jack Whittaker actually picked up what could have perhaps been a rather serious injury when GCTV caught up with Jack Whittaker to find out exactly what happened and how the recovery is going.
It was just stupid, really. I was just in the stable, two-star in England, and a freak accident. The horse was getting hand-walked out the stable, and I just walked past it, and I'd walked past it, I was gone, and it must have just jumped up, spooked or something, kicked back and kicked my spleen.
But now fully recovered?
Fully recovered, fighting fit.
It's quite soon, right?
Yeah, it's soon, but I think as long as I'm feeling okay, like I didn't want to do it too soon anyway. Obviously I wanted to make sure that I was sound enough, ready to compete and try and win again, but I feel fine now, and I feel like I'm ready to go.
So you've only like 2 riders this weekend. Is that like extra pressure for you to be here?
Only having the 2 riders, it's maybe a little bit of pressure, but like when you go into the ring anyway, like if I was an individual, I want to jump clear around. It's not like it's any different. It's just for the team, you know. But as I say, we're going to just try and go in there and try and win. You're
going to ride with like how do you call it?
Yeah, body protector. Yeah. First time wearing body protector, obviously, it was my spleen that got kicked. So they said for the flight, basically you just don't want it for a foreseeable short future. They said you want to make sure you don't get any big bangs to the spleen, just as a precaution. So I decided it's probably not a bad idea to try and maybe wear a body protector in case I fall off, and gives me a little bit more protection for the spleen.
Great to have Jack Whittaker back and deciding to take all the precautions necessary to make sure that he and Madrid in Motion perform very well this weekend. They are first out the gate, as you mentioned. Jack Whittaker and Mark Macaulay will be first out the gate, followed by the Hamburg Giants, Rome Gladiators, Miami Celtics, Prague Lions, London Knights, as well as Scandinavian Vikings and the Istanbul Sultans. Those will be the first 8 teams out the gate. Before we take a break, come back to GCTV and look ahead to the following 8 teams that will come out for GCL Round 1. Thank you for joining us. Let's head to Hamburg. The opening round of GCL in Hamburg is next.